In the studio today, I thought I'd share with you some of the Christmas decorations that we use, stamps and things that we have, and die cuts, and we make 3D ornaments. A lot of the time we have stamps and we use them for cards and we use them for making other things, but we don't think to actually make them 3D, so I thought I'd show you how to make these. So here we go. So if you've got some stamps, alright, these are Christmas ones. As you can see, there's Christmas baubles, snowflakes, candles. This one's a Christmas bauble, works really well for this process, and that's that one. Alright, so you can see that one hanging it. Alright, and then it depends on what you've got. These ones, which I've got here, you have to apply to an acrylic block, and I just use a glue stick and pop it on, and then when I've finished I take it off and I just wet wipe the back and the actual acrylic block. Or sometimes, like this one stays so that it's in the studio all year round, because a lot of people want to make things all year round. These as well, if you think, when you're thinking of your stamps, if you've got an occasion that you want to use them for, you can actually, say you've got a wedding or whatever and you've got a bell, you can actually use and stamp those and make those 3D as well. So, you know, develop your stamps in your box from your collection. Stamping. Right, I use either archival or stays on ink, because I like to either colour, or in this case, because it's quite flimsy paper, I like to coat it with PVA glue, and you can hear it's quite crispy now and quite firm. It's almost gone like card, and you can see it also then will give it some longevity, which means that it can be handled as well, either hanging on your Christmas tree or given as a gift, as a gift tag. You take your stamp, and underneath I have got a bit of packaging here. Alright, and I've just put a piece of paper on the top just to make it so I've got something to push the print into. So you take your stamp, you pop your stamp on the table, and then you just put your stays on or your iCarvel. Now you need to make sure you dab rather than smear. You saw me go like that to begin with. It's sometimes you do it naturally. Luckily enough, because we're cutting these out, if you have got any that goes over the edges, it doesn't matter. But normally you'd make sure you dab print. Now your first one doesn't always turn out, so just be aware of that. And as you can see, I've put the lid back on. So I've got my piece of paper, alright, and I'm now going to print on the top. So make sure you put it on top and you press firmly. Alright, you can see I'm actually putting some pressure on, and then lift it up. Okay, so there we go. So you can see that's what this design actually looks like, and you can see it's got a Father Christmas and a snow scene for this Christmas bauble. We're actually going to use music paper here. Alright, so this is old music coat, so it's quite flimsy, but you could also use Christmas card, wrapping paper, your craft papers, any of those, or if you've got a season that you want to do it for, or an event that you want to do it, you can also use the papers that you've got that you want to use. Alright, so you either need to print 4 of them if you're doing one which has just got 4 stuck together, or if you want one that's actually got a little bit more to it and it's more 3D, you need to cut 6. Alright, so you printed out 6. You then roughly cut round them, alright, so there's a little bit of a margin all the way round. You then cut them out so that you've got your 6 cut out. Alright, and I've cut mine out to the line, so they're actually on the line. You then take each one. Now when the actual ink is dried, and it doesn't take long, but you know, if you want to do it immediately, just make sure you use a heat gun, or you put them in a warm place so that they dry. You then fold them so that they're folded the lengthways, alright, of your design, okay, and you fold them in half, right sides together, okay. Make sure the fold is really quite firm. If you need to use you know, a finger press, or you use a bone folder, or a lollipop stick, you can do that too, but because they're quite small, you can actually do these. Alright, and then you need to cut them and glue them, and I just use ordinary PVA glue or kids glue on a plastic sheet to protect my area, and the plastic is a recycled piece from somewhere else. Alright, and then you need to glue them in pairs. Alright, so you can see here I've got 6. You then take 2 of your pairs and you glue one side together so that you've got this piece open, and when you glue down the middle here, you make sure that you leave a little bit of a channel down the middle. Alright, and it will naturally do that because of the way you're holding it. Now if you want to, you can actually peg these together. Alright, if your glue isn't that firm. And then you can then put on the next 2, the next pair, and you're only gluing down one side, and you're gluing the music paper that hasn't been printed to the music paper that hasn't been printed, so that all the printed surface is on the outside. So in here now you can see we've got the 2 bits that haven't got any printing on. You then take your thread, so you put that to one side to allow to dry. You then take your thread, and I've got some recycled dangles, alright, that were from a chandelier. I've got some silver thread here, or you can use wool, whatever you want to use to thread up your cord, ribbon. Okay, and I'm just threading. It's about 40 centimetres or 16 inches of thread, and because you're going to need to actually fold it in half in the end. So at the moment I've got one of the dangles. I'm then going to put on some beads. Now when you're threading up your needle, make sure your needle goes through your beads, because your beads sometimes have quite a small head. These ones haven't, they've got quite a decent one, because I knew I was going to put this thread through. I've actually done it so that you know you can do it. Alright, so I've threaded a bead on and I've knotted it so that it's not going anywhere, and it's about halfway down the thread, you think, if I put that needle right to the end. Okay, you then take your ornament that you've glued together. In this case I've not quite glued it together because I'm doing it for demonstration purposes, and then you take the 2 threads together and you pop it inside with your bead just showing from the bottom. Okay, you then glue this other sides together to make your Christmas ornament, making sure it stays with the cord all the way through the centre, and it takes a few minutes just to hold it in place so that you can actually see that it's done. Again, if you want to put some pegs either side to make sure that it doesn't move anywhere, then of course you need to thread another bead on the top, knot it to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere, and then you can tie a knot at the top so that it actually becomes a hanger. Alright, so you can see this one's at the bottom and then this one's at the top. Alright, so there we go. So we've got it to that stage. Now to make it firmer, alright, so that it's actually then becomes an ornament that can last its time, even though it's paper, you need to use your PVA glue, and what I do is I add some glitter to it. Alright, so that it's got something, you know, when it dries, because it's got all this sort of glittery stuff, and this is, you know, crystal glitter, so there's a high content of glitter in it, and then you just paint the surfaces, and what it does is when it's dried, alright, it's quite firm. The tip to it is, when you're gluing, so that you don't get gluey fingers, is literally to hold on one end, glue all the ornament, pop it in a jam jar where the ornament just fits in the neck, and then you can then paint the bit that you haven't done where your fingers were. Alright, and leave to dry overnight, and then it's ready for use. Okay, so as you can see, there's here we've got quite a few done, and these are for sale in the shop. Now if you want more videos from the Art Studio Daily, make sure you subscribe, and also down below are some of the links of the things that I've used here. Okay, and I'll see you soon in the studio.